Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with some more MBTI. Today we're going to be finishing up the IPs, and so we're going to talk about the INTP and its alternate. Let's dig in. The INTP is going to be focused on their own personal thoughts. They're going to be very concerned with their own logic. That is how they're going to make all of their decisions. That's what they're going to go off of, is their own logic. Uh, that is what TI is. It is your own personal thoughts, your own personal logic, and being consistent in it. NE is future possibilities. So they are going to find the future possibilities and use their logic with it. Like that's what they're trying to get out. Their evolutionary niche is finding the possibilities and logically choosing one. SI is what has happened. So this is the INTP third eye slot. Is what they're going to get defensive over. Is going to be what has happened. Uh, Whereas the alternate, it is going to be the future feelings and the ethics of the situation. The throat is going to be INTP is going to be an FE, so they're going to be worried about the future feelings and the ethics in the throat slot as opposed to the third eye slot. And the SI alternate, the throat alternate on the INTP is SI. That is what has happened in organization. The heart is others' thoughts and rationale. So what you really want to do is to receive the validation from the tribe on the thoughts. The solar plexus, the best possibility, and the guidance. So choosing the best possibility is really going to nurture your soul. Current things are exploration. The sacral. This is your trickster energy. This is where you get messed up. And for the INTP, that's going to be the current things. Exploration, new experiences. Whereas for the alternate, that is going to be the FI and the morals of the situation and how you personally feel about what has happened. It's about past feelings more than future. And the base for the INTP is going to be past feeling and morals. And then SE for the alternate is current things and exploration. All right, so now that we've got the fundamentals laid down, what does that mean to me? I'm an INTP. I want to be able to integrate who I am and to be more healthy in my balance. Right? So we're going to start at the base. This is the part that's really going to hold you back. You get a lot of information at both the divine and the base. That is the highest reception of the wavelength. You get a lot of information and it can be overwhelming. For a base INTP, that is going to be your own feelings, right? You are going to be very much affected about how you have felt in the past. It can be how you feel right now, but it is more inclined towards how you feel in the past. You're going to be very concerned about morals, but you're not going to be very good at morals. You're going to pretty much miss any type of morality. Like you're okay with everyone else's ethics to a certain extent, but you really don't hold your own personal morals. And so what you're going to need to do is to focus on that. You're going to need to figure out where you need to make a stand in your life on a moral issue. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that moral issue should be or what your choice in that should be. That is up for you to decide as a sovereign being. If you want to be pro-life or pro-choice, that is up to you. That is not up to me. It is not up to me to even really tell you where I stand on that. But I will if I asked, and I'm somewhat of a personality, so I do put it out there more than I probably should. But it is up to you how you want to decide on that. But you need to take the time to make sure that you are deciding for you, especially for the INTP, because your ethics for the FE is really not your main focus. You don't really pick up on that anyway. That's in your throat. You miscommunicate the tribe's ethics. And so, because you miscommunicate the tribe's ethics, you really don't have any for yourself. You don't set the moral boundaries of
sexual limitations. You don't set the boundaries of financial limitations in some cases. It's all about trying to make yourself feel better, but you're going about it the wrong way. The way to actually do it is to decide what your morals need to be. To take the time to actually consider the morals of the question, not necessarily the ethics. You can grab the input from the tribe. That's what the FE is for. It's to grab the input from the tribe. But it's up to you to decide with that. It's up to you to say, okay, I'm going to use this as a framework for my own morality. And so you're going to have to do that. And it's going to be a lot harder for you than for most people. You're not going to want to do that at all. You're going to think that your coping mechanisms for whatever you're feeling is good enough. It should be able to take care of everything. My coping mechanisms should be able to do all of this, but it's really not. Especially when you get into the sacral with that. We'll get there in a second. For the alternate, this is the base, is going to be the current things in exploration. So you're going to be very much not inclined to new experiences at all. You're going to think, you're going to miscommunicate the old experiences, and you're going to think that they can never be better or worse than that. And so in order to balance, you're really going to have to step outside of your box more. You're going to have to get yourself into uncomfortable but not unsafe situations. If you're scared of heights, then you need to go on a skyscraper. Do it in a controlled manner. Like, don't go automatically 115 floors up in the air. Find a building that's 3 stories tall. Get on top of that. Walk to the edge in a safe manner and look down. Then, once you're comfortable in the 3rd floor, find one with 5. Find one with 7. Find one with 12. And then slowly work your way up and expose yourself to that new experience. It is not limited simply to heights. That is any experience that you personally are scared of. And it is going to be a scared of in that situation. It is going to be this is where agoraphobia resides, right? This is severe anxiety is here because you are literally terrified of the new things. Now, you may not express that as terror. You may express that as an extreme reluctance to participate, but it is still based in fear. And so the best way to do that is to literally walk into your fear in a safe manner. I'm not telling you to go pick up a rattlesnake because you're scared of snakes, but maybe a garter snake would be all right. They're little most of the time. They're harmless most of the time. And even if they do bite you, it's not going to be venomous, so you're not going to really get affected in a bad way. You wash it really good, you're all right. Expose yourself. Sometimes exposing yourself is still going to hurt you, and that's okay. That is part of the experience too. Always consider the safest possibility when exposing yourself to a dangerous situation, and bring support. If you know that you're scared of heights, and today you're trying for 15 floors, right? Don't do that by yourself. And if you're on day 1 of it, don't do it by yourself. You're going to freak out. You are going to freak out when you walk to that edge. If you make it to the edge, have the moral support with you. You're going to need that. But that is the way to balance this, right? It is all about the current things, and this is less of a material current things, even though it does deal with that. It may be an obsession with acquiring all of the things. It can be a shopping thing, right? Those tend to cluster together too. If you got agoraphobia and you're ordering from Fingerhut to an excess where you're deeply in debt, right? That's that type of situation that we're talking about. It may not be that extreme for you, but you know what I'm talking about. You know that you're scared of these new experiences. You get very comfortable in where you are. You miscommunicate any change in your situation because you're relatively happy with your situation, even if you're unhappy with it, right? You're not unhappy enough to change it unless you're watching this video, and then you are. All right, so that's going to bring us into the sacral, and these two play together, right? All of these are 2 steps, right? whenever you're working on your base, you want to focus on your base for a week, and then you want to move up to your sacral, and you want to focus on your sacral for a week, and then you want to interplay them. You don't need to really take a whole week on the interplay. You can do the interplay for the sacral and the base while you're working on your solar plexus. But they do play together. They always will play together. And that is true for the sacral and the base, but it's true for the solar plexus and the sacral. It's true for the heart and the solar plexus. The two that are together really affect each other greatly. And you can feel the imbalance once you get used to it. The sacral is going to be trickster energy. This is where you're really going to get messed up. You're going to do it wrong. That you're going to think you're doing it right, but you're going to do it wrong. And for an INTP, that is going to be the literal things. It is going to be the new experiences. So whenever you go to have a new experience, you're not going about it the right way. Whenever you go to buy the items, you're not really considering all of the options. Whenever you go to give an experience, you're giving the wrong experience. You see this a lot with INTPs because they're a little bit standoffish. They're very much me energy, they're very much logic energy, and they're very much organization energy. So that can be standoffish to a SE dominant, which is a lot of our civilization. And so you're going to give a bad experience unintentionally. It's not like you're trying to be mean. You're just very logic based. You're just very organization based. So if somebody is either not logical or not organized, it's going to trip you up. If they don't look at possibilities, you're going to get upset. So you're going to need to focus on giving a better experience to other people, to actually considering what they need for a new experience. Now, you're FE throat, right? And so that means that you're going to miscommunicate what everyone feels. You're going to misinterpret what they feel from the social cues, and you're going to give back the wrong information as well. What you need to do is to really consider these things. Really take the time to consider how this is making someone feel. Really take the time to consider, are all the options in front of me? Is this a new experience that I want, need, and am I doing it in the correct manner? SE is all about the things now and getting new experiences and giving new experiences. They are very much concerned, like an SE person, an SE dominant, is very concerned about making you have a good experience. So just take the time to actually consider giving the good experience because you're not inclined in that way. For the alternate, this is going to be the sacral, is going to be the FI, that is the past feelings and morals. You're going to tend to get tripped up in your morals. Not that you don't have them, you do. You know what your morals are. You just slide by them a lot, right? You're going to be the type of person that if you work an office job and you deal with clients, you're going to be the type of person that even though you know it is wrong to tell the client this particular piece of information, whether it be pricing or production, like you're running late in your production, right? Say you're an office manager and you run a fab shop and the fab shop's running behind. You're going to have a tendency to try to breeze past that with your clients. You're going to have a tendency to not give them the full truth on it because you're not as firm in your morals as you need to be. Especially if what you see is that they're going to have a bad feeling about it. Because the third eye is you're looking forward and you're interpreting someone's feelings. You're going to think that you can slide your morals to help them have better feelings. So take the time to make sure that you're standing in your morals. Clearly define where you stand in things. If you come to a point where there is a moral decision, do I need to lie here? The answer to that is almost always no. Even in a business situation, if you're honest with your client, it improves relations later, even if you're having problems. If you're communicating that, that's a much better thing than them finding out that you've been lying to them for 3 weeks about the stuff that is supposed to be coming off of your assembly line. You're also going to have a tendency to get tripped up in your own feelings. This is going to lead you towards a tendency to be attached to people who are not necessarily holding your best interest in heart. You're going to be very concerned about interpreting their feelings and paying less attention to your own feelings. And so you're going to need to take the time to make sure that you're in the proper relationship. Are you getting the actual nurturement that you need? Are you actually a better person because of this other person in your life? And that's not necessarily a romantic relationship. It can be a business relationship, again, with the morals. Or it can be a friendship, or it can be whatever relationship you happen to be in. You're going to have a tendency to let leniency happen where it shouldn't, because you don't care as much about how you feel. It doesn't matter that it makes you mad that you have to do this. It's better for the whole team and they'll feel better. So I'm going to do it. Don't do that. Like, if it makes you mad, at the very least, let somebody know it makes you mad. At the very least, let somebody know it makes you sad. And if the situation doesn't get better, then you need to remove yourself from the situation, regardless of what the situation is. You need to quit pushing your own feelings underneath for everyone else's feelings. The solar plexus is where you're really going to get nourishment, and this is going to be the same for both of you. This is going to be the NI, the best possibility and guidance. If you are making the correct choices about the future, you're going to feel great. You're going to flourish. You're going to have prosperity come forth. That is what the solar plexus deals with, is the sustenance, that is digestion. It is the parts that become part of you. And so if you're choosing the best parts in your life, you're going to be okay. It's going to be really hard for you, though, because this is on the lower end of your stack, so it's not working quite right. And it's relatively low frequency. Now, it's not as low frequency as the throat and the heart, but it is a relatively low frequency, and it's hard to identify. So you're going to need to take the time to make sure that you are getting the SE in. The SE is looking at the actual things. You're going to need to take the time for that. Now, you're also going to need to make sure that you're getting the best ideas, and that is your crown spot. You probably are seeing most of the possibilities. You are seeing most of the ideas. You're even interpreting them right most of the time. You just need to take a little bit of extra time to make sure that you are seeing the possibilities and that you are choosing the best one based on what you need and not necessarily what everyone else needs. You need to make sure that you're making the best choices for your life and even for the tribe, because there's a chance that you're using this for the tribe, that you need to make sure that all the possibilities are considered. That's going to be your major trip up, is missing the actual things, because it's lower in the stack for both of you here. And so if you're doing that, if you're looking at all the actual possibilities of things here, not necessarily the ideas, because you do that really well, but the things and the possibilities, if you're taking that time, then you're going to be okay. Like you really will feel nourished from that. But what's really going to, what you really want to do is TE for both of you. It's going to be other people's thoughts and rationale. And so if you are using your logic, which is your divine spot, in support of everyone else's thoughts or rationale, then you are going to feel fulfillment. Now, you're going to use all the rest of the stack as part of that. You use all of these functions all of the time to varying degrees. But if you're taking the time to actually consider whether or not your logic fits the rationale, and if your logic does not fit the rationale, how you can correct the rationale while giving a good sensation, right? Good feelings and a good experience. If you can figure out how to do those two things, that's where you're really going to be in your wheelhouse. You're really going to be good at fact checking, like literally fact checking, not like Snopes, but like literally looking at actual things and evidence Even though you really don't care too much about the evidence as much as the possibilities, you're still very much evidence based. And if you're taking the time to actually look at the evidence and then checking that across your logic to make sure that the evidence corresponds in a logical manner with the rationale of the tribe. The rationale is what everyone has decided is the best option going forward, or the best option for now, or the best option altogether, and how they explain that, right? We have decided as humanity to go forward as vegans, and here's our rationale. Or here's the rationale against that. That is explaining how you came to the thought process. So if you can correct the thought process through your logic while giving a good experience, you're really going to be like great at that. You're going to be good at correcting, right? You're going to be good editors. You're going to be good consistency editors for like a novel. If you're writing a fantasy novel and you need things to be consistent in the universe, you're going to hire a consistency editor. You're golden for that. Or double checking research, right? You don't really like to organize the research, but you're okay with peer reviewing it. You're very okay with checking the logical consistency of what other people have done, considering their possibilities and logic checking it. Then we're going to get into the bottom part of the upper stack, and this is the throat. This is where you miscommunicate things. This is where you don't come across quite the right way. For an INTP, that is going to be everyone else's feelings. You're not going to be very good, like you're going to think you're great at, but not really be very good at reading the room. Like that's what FE is, to a large degree, is reading the room, knowing what is okay to say, because ethics is what everyone else has decided is the proper way to act, right? And so you're going to know, oh man, I should not have told, or you're not going to know, I should not have told that joke. You're not going to know that might have hurt this person's feelings, because while you think that you are taking into account other people's feelings, you really are not. You're really just missing that. And so take the time to consider the feelings. Take the time to slow down, and before you say the joke, to logic check it against yourself. Like, is anyone going to get offended if I say this? There's a good chance they will, because you tend to have a somewhat dry humor, and not everybody's going to understand it the right way. Or you tend to have a very technical humor, right? You're the type of person that the Big Bang Theory was made for. And so you're going to need to take the time to actually consider the feelings. You're going to need to take the time. But if you do, you will be much better. And you're going to need to take and express that. You need to find someone that you're comfortable with, that you're not going to feel judged with, and check back with them, like bounce it. That's how you help yourself develop there, is by communicating. That is your throat. For the alternate, that is going to be SI and what has happened. You're going to think you are the world's best organizer ever. Nobody does this better than me. I have folders and subfolders, but they're labeled ridiculously wrong, right? Or you're going to think that you keep your house immaculate, and then really it's not that immaculate. Like there's probably shit on the floor from where the cat's litter box is full. Just because you forgot about it for a couple of weeks, I mean, it's whatever. And so you're going to need to take the time for organization. Like you're going to need to take the time to make some lists of what you would actually like to accomplish. You're going to need to take the time to organize your spaces. And by that, I mean not just in a, well, this kind of fits here type of way, but a, this needs to be here type of way. Not on an obsessive level where you're like, okay, that cannot ever be there. It has to be here and rotated 15 degrees to the left. You don't want that energy either. But you're not going to be naturally inclined for that. Your problem is missing appointments, showing up late. It's going to be a lot of not having the correct data on you. Not like you're going to go driving and not have your registration and paperwork. Not because you don't have it. You forgot it at the house. They just mailed it to you a month ago. What, you're supposed to go put it in the glove box today? Come on. It's that type of situation. So you need to take the time to organize your life. You need to take the time to make sure that you are paying your bills on time. You're going to need to make sure that you are actually eating on an appropriate schedule. You are going to need to make sure that you're taking a bath when you're supposed to bathe. If you're starting to smell a little bit, that's really giving other people a bad feeling and a bad experience. Not that you care, but you need to. So take the time. Just take the time. Do the SI. Organize the things. Find out what actually has happened. Because another thing you're going to get tripped up on is misinterpreting and not understanding or miscommunicating what has happened in the past. And so you're going to misread the situation. Like FE misreads the room, you're going to misread what has happened. You're going to think that this has happened, but it actually didn't. Or you're going to think that this was the outcome, but it really wasn't. And so you need to recognize what actually happened in that situation. Look back in your childhood to that one core memory and really consider whether or not you have that right. Because you probably don't. Whatever the core memory is, it's probably just a little bit skewed towards you. And so skew it back towards others a little bit, and you'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'll see why that happened. It may not even be right. Like, it can be something that was completely uncalled for, but you came to the wrong conclusion about. You interpreted the SI wrong. The what has happened was wrong. Your parents denied you the chance to go to this camp. You wanted to go to this camp. It was the one thing that you asked for all year long, was to go to this camp. And it didn't happen. But you don't realize that your parents didn't have the money to pay the bills, and they couldn't send you to that camp. Or something along those lines. You've never considered that before. You've never thought about that before. You were concerned about why you didn't go to the camp, but you thought it was just because your parents didn't want you to. That's not true. Most of the time. Some people are dicks. Yes, there are some parents who are just dicks. But for the most part, if they didn't send you, then they didn't have the money. There is normally a causation event before our core memories that we misinterpret. For the third eye, this is looking forward. This is how you progress. This is seeing. And for the INTP, this is where your organization is at. You're going to be very defensive over this area too. This is your child slot. And so you're going to be very defensive over seeing this. And it's going to be SI for the INTP. And that means that it's going to be what has happened in organization. So you're going to be very defensive over your filing system. You're going to be very defensive over this statue is supposed to be at 15 degrees to the left. You're going to have to relax on that. You're going to have to quit being such a child on that. This is also what has happened and past events, and you're defensive over that. So your experience of why you didn't go to camp, you're not going to be miscommunicating that, right? What you're going to be doing is ruminating on it in a different manner. It's going to be more along the lines of, my kid will never have to sit out of camp. Right? That's the energy of the third eye. This happened to me in SI. This happened to me, and I felt this way about it. This was my experience of it, and my kid's not going to have to worry about that. That's the energy of the third eye. The way to assimilate that is to really make sure that you are doing that for the correct reasons, right? You're going to need to make sure that you're considering the feelings of others and the thoughts of others and choosing the best possibility and giving the best sensation, understanding how you feel about it, and then deciding, okay, does my kid really even want to go to this camp? Is it the best choice for my camp? Am I going to go into debt and not be able to pay my house note because of this camp? And if you're taking the time to consider that, then by all means, make your decision. But if you're not, then you're making the wrong decision. And you're going to be defensive over that. You're going to do it because you felt this way once. And so everyone else should feel that way if the same thing happens. And therefore, I'm going to respond in this manner. And this manner is going to be, this is it. Right? This is where a lot of strictness in scheduling comes from for kids, or beating over the head with Bibles from parents. So you're going to need to take the time to make sure that you have the right motivation for that. Seeing forward is about your path forward. Being defensive is about defending what you have decided is your best path. And so chances are the best path is correct, but you're probably responding to that wrong. Just take the time to consider why you're making that decision. The third eye, this is where third eye FE is a really fucky one. Like it really is. Because what you're doing with the third eye FE is projecting how other people will feel about this. You're trying to judge what other people's ethics are going to say about the situation, probably because of your SI throat, with the wrong information. You are misinterpreting the situation, and so you're getting defensive over someone else being offended when they don't really care. Right? This is, if you see the Karen freak out for someone else, and then the person that they're freaking out for is like, I don't need you to take care of me. That's that energy. You're going to be best suited for actually considering other people's feelings, though. You're really good at it. You are, for the most part, correct when you get into that type of situation. You see someone and you're like, they're so going to be offended by what this dude just said, but they're not going to say anything, so I'm going to say something, right? And that's not necessarily always a good thing. Now, you should always stand up for anybody that's being bullied or harassed. I'm never going to tell you to not do that, but make sure that it is not deserved bullying or harassment, because then it's not bullying or harassment. The tribe corrects people. Now, if it is a single player in the tribe who is outside of the norm of the tribe, trying to correct a single member of the tribe in the wrong way, that's a problem. But if it is actually what the tribe values, and a single member of the tribe is correcting another member of the tribe in the correct manner, that brings value to the tribe. That is what this is for. This is the point of the FE third eye, is so that you can see the possibilities, you can logic check it, you can get the actual data, and you can see correctly what someone else's reaction is probably going to be. You're going to have a tendency, however, to miss the SI. And so you're misinterpreting the situation and you're defensive over it. So you got really offended for this person who was already very well equipped to take care of it themselves. That's the SI you missed, was that they are equipped to take care of this themselves. And instead, you jump in defensively and cannot be budged from taking up from this person who doesn't need your help. Fight for the people who actually do need your help. Take the time to actually consider whether or not this person needs you to intervene. Probably not. Most people are able to handle the situation themselves. Most people. That is not all people. There are times, absolutely, when you should intervene in a situation like that. But if somebody is deviating from social norms to an extreme degree and other people are correcting them, you need to stay out of that. If there's somebody who is calling someone names, right? And then the tribe decides that they're going to ostracize this person, and you come into it late. You don't see what that person has done, but you see the tribe pushing back against this fellow. You are going to be naturally inclined to just jump into that situation. And you're not going to jump into it on the side of the tribe. You're going to jump into it on the side of the person who actually needed some correction. We all need correction from time to time. Nobody's ideas are correct all the time. And so there is a purpose for the tribe correcting us. It keeps us as a species alive. That is what happens there. And there are times that you need to defend other people, but they are more rare than you tend to think. That's going to lead us into the crown. The crown and the divine are a whole lot easier to deal with. They are what you do well, even if you don't recognize it. As long as you are taking into consideration all the rest of the things, you will be right here most of the time. The assimilation on this is really easy. It is mostly watch the rest of the stack. And for both of you, it is going to be seeing future possibilities and foresight. Now, this is separate from the third eye foresight. This is seeing all of the ideas. This is gathering what everyone else thinks. And for you, you're going to logic check that. You're going to gather everybody's possibilities and you're going to be like, nope, that's dumb. Or you're going to be like, oh, that's possible. Right? And so you're really good at that. That's how you interpret the divine. That is what you really excel at. You excel at it so much that you probably think it is your divine. Most of the time you don't even realize you're using your divine. You're thinking that the crown is what you do. But it's not. You're going to need to take the time to consider the rest of your stack. Go through all of the rest of the stack and to logic check it. Now, you're going to be inclined to logic check it. That part's not going to be hard for you. But you need to make sure that the logic is lined correctly. Future possibilities and foresight, you're going to be also, if you're unhealthy in this, you're going to be the type of person that does not make decisions well. You're going to be the guy that makes the decisions like that. But probably, more than likely, you're not healthy here. And so you're not going to want to narrow things down. You will see a lot of INTPs in poly relationships because they don't have the capacity, for the most part, to choose just one partner. Like most poly people will probably end up being any crowned or any divine. That's not all of them by any means, but that's the way that rolls. Simply because you don't like narrowing down the choices. You really don't. You like keeping your options open. You like playing the game. You like the experience of all the things. Like you don't want to be narrowed down into the only possibility. It's going to be very hard for you. But if you do it, you're going to get fed by it. So by all means, look at all the possibilities. Then logic check them and use them. Actually pick one. You've got to actually pick a thing. You have to actually narrow down your scope into what you want to do. Right? NE is like a shotgun. NI is like a sniper rifle. It's not all of these possibilities. It's the one possibility. When you're concerned with all the possibilities, you have to learn to become one possibility. That's where you're going to feed your soul. And the divine, this is what you do without thought, right? You, without thought, as an INTP, are logic checking everything. Everything is a yes no answer. Everything is a yes no question, right? Especially for an I, because the I's are all about me, right? Now you have your informative alternate, and you have your direct normal INTP, but either way, it's more focused on you. You're an I. And so you need to make sure that your logic is consistent. 90+% of the time, you are logically correct. 90+% of the time, you are doing the right thing by your own thoughts. But that less than 10% is really going to get you if you don't take the time to consider your logical consistency. Take the whole rest of the stack and check it back against what you use as your logical determinant. What are you basing your logic off of? Make sure that you have the SI. Make sure that you have the SE. Make sure that you're considering feelings. Make sure that you're considering possibilities. Make sure that you're narrowing down possibilities. And make sure that your logic, above all things, is consistent. I'm not going to tell you what to base it off of. Like everybody's different. Everybody does it a little bit different. 5 INTPs are going to have 5 different logical consistencies. But if it is right for you, and you are checking it, and it is factually based, right? It is always important to be based in facts. And some people will not be fact-based and consider themselves logically consistent. So you'll see this a lot in the extremities in the political parties on both sides, who will not consider that they are wrong in the yes-no questions. You need to take the time to consider that you could possibly be wrong in your choice. Not to dwell on that. You will have a tendency for that because of your NE. But what you need to do is just to make sure that your logic is based in fact. It is based in something that is actually true. Not what you think is true, not what you've heard is true, not that someone told you is true, but that is actually true. And if you do that, if you take the time to actually do that, you're going to be golden. As far as employment, you're going to be wanting to look for something that allows you to use your logic, right? And you want to use your logic for correcting the rationale. I talked about editing. That's a good one. Coding is probably a good one for you too. Logic checking is coding. On a very fundamental level, it is almost all yes-no questions or branches or like, so the logical consistency of coding is going to be very well suited to you. Technical precision, to a certain extent, is going to be, as long as it's not, you're not going to be, more than likely, you're not going to be a cabinet maker, because the level of precision that is required for a cabinet maker might be obtainable for the INTP, but probably not for the INTP alternate, because it's dealing with things, and it is dealing with getting things right, and the things that you're getting right is what you're misinterpreting and missing. So look for something where you can fact check. Look for something where you can do that type of situation, editing, or I don't really have a whole lot of examples for that. But you're good in research as well. We talked about that. Not so much for conducting the experiments and not so much for parsing the data, but from taking the data and coming to the logical conclusion and even formulating future possibilities from that. As far as relationship-wise, that's going to be the inverse of your sacral, like for everybody. What you are really looking for is, if you are sacral SE, then you need someone who is stronger in the SE, because you're not. And so you need someone who has SE in the top part of your stack, or their stack. It's okay if that is in their third eye slot, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because the third eye slot would put them to have an SI sacral, and that's an exact inverse. You just want the the part that is there, like your sacral SE or sacral FI, you want that in the top part of your partner's stack so that they can help fill that in. And it's going to be especially for you, like you're going to like, well, you're going to like the exchange of energy better in that way. I'm not trying to get too deep into the sexual part of it because that is an important part and we might do that later. But this is more about integrating you to help you. All right, let's wrap it up. I hope that I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a not too difficult topic. If you can grasp the fundamentals, you can see where this affects you in your life. Like, I don't have to tell you where it affects you. It's useful to have an explanation to point it out. But you know these things about yourself. Like, I'm not here to get the positive affirmation back. I know this is logically consistent in a way that it has never been before. I know that I have changed things and people are going to be upset about that eventually. Right now, nobody's really seeing it, but soon somebody's going to see it and they will be upset. Don't think that I'm doing this just because. Like, I've spent a lot of time making sure that I'm right in my stack, that I'm logically consistent in what I'm doing, so that I can give it back to you in a logically consistent manner. Like, hopefully this helps. That is the goal of the channel. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. I love you. Till next time, it's been Pitt's Tape. Peace.